kind of show you the pine knots here. You notice the entire tree here has completely started to decompose and get crushed, yet the pine knots are still hard as a rock. And there's 4 or 5 right here. They're easy resource. Now these are on the ground and probably soaked up with snow and things like that, but not recommended to get your fire started. But you can definitely toss those on, and those resins will kick off and it'll be like jet fuel. So you can see this side of the tree started to punk out, which is why the tree fell. Excuse me. But I do get asked why I bother prying tests, and it's simply because this is a little too new. This just happened this winter here, but walking around looking for good fire sources, we are predominantly pines, the occasional fir. I haven't showed you, when you go further east you get into like a transitional forest type area. Here's another pine knot. So if you can find those decaying where they're not completely decayed in the ground, like this guy over here, those pine knots, that's dry as a bone. Guarantee these pine knots that are still up here is essentially your fatwood. Kind of curl into this little area in here. One thing, because we don't have the birch trees and everything else, the reason I appreciate a thicker knife for pry tests is because you can pry off. I mean, we have stumps everywhere. Predominantly this one, give it a smell test, is actually a little dirty, but because I have hundreds of stumps to choose from, a thicker knife is important. Now, you may be able to get a Mora and try to baton a section off. It's certainly possible, but a lot of people are like, I don't understand why you need a pry test. Well, because we don't have some other resources where fatwood is prevalent almost all over the place. You'll either find trees falling down like this one. I mean, it doesn't take much for me to walk around and find resources. Pine needles right now are way too soaked in moisture. Oh yeah, there you go. So get into this one. It's solid, it's not punky. It's got, you know, bigger sections you can break off, and you know, it's solid resin in there. So fatwood is not an issue here. Fatwood is easy to find unless you really are going to be moving around. You wouldn't have to keep that much of it on you. You know, in here it's all fatwood all the way down there, and so really that's our main fire source around here. I don't like to burn a lot of it simply for the sooty factor. Get your pots pretty sooty and dirty, but it'll get a fire going even in winter. So a lot of the videos you've seen recently, that was kind of part of it. That is our main fire source. Now in the summer, even these grasses will dry out fairly quickly. For tinder bundle, our pine needles decay fairly quickly into what they actually call the duff layer. That's why you have to be careful. This isn't bare ground underneath. You really have to get down here in order to find bare earth. It's just years of decaying needles that create that duff. It's an issue that we faced in wildland fire, and that's a little insight into my area. Little hidey ho. So you talk about deadfalls. How about just bark? You can see there's a bunch of bark here. Don't forget to always look up. Here's pieces of bark that are coming down in the wind. We've got a although it's unusually calm right now. We do have a 50-mile-an-hour warning for the next 2 or 3 days up here. In fact, our highways got closed because we had trees come across our highways. But up in here, even very healthy looking trees, don't forget to look up, because this sucker won't be up there for long. She's dead as can be. She's starting to shed all of her stuff. Even I'll show you a tree around the corner here, or before this, however I decided to edit it. That looked like it was completely healthy, other than maybe a little punk on one side. But birds are out. You can hear those. You can make out decent little game trails here. It's hard with the pine litter to really actively find out how much and how often it's used. You can see a little kick up of footprints, but only very slightly. Until you get near a creek or something where they're clearly coming over here to get their water. There may be some bedding areas close by, but until you get to this little bare section here, I don't see any prints. You know, you get these track traps areas, these little sections of mud that will hold their tracks, and these are just contoured from melting snow right now. Sort of like a cracked riverbed. There's a print. So, yeah, they're coming through here. And it's not hard to see if I get down this whole cleared out area that follows this tiny little creek. Sunlight coming through. This little creek is pretty high right now. You can tell it's definitely a seasonal creek. It does get higher at times. There's definitely swelling of snow melt that comes up the side here. The other thing is all this pine litter when this is dry, fills the creek and then gets deposited all down the stream. It will block off certain side streams. There's a quick little baby pond kind of back there. That's kind of the reason you can tell it's a seasonal, is because if the leaves just fell and the river took it away, it wouldn't deposit quite like that. Now if the river filled, and if you can imagine almost like a flash flood scenario, if you've ever watched any flash flooding videos, where it just slowly starts rumbling and pushing rock and debris down there. Once that starts to heat up, or you get a good amount of rainfall, it eventually works down into creeks just like this one, and it clears out all the debris. That entire section over there is all just pine litter, pine needles basically. Probably a good foot or two deep in certain areas. So, just kind of giving you guys a little show, sharing where I wander. Trying to get up higher. Don't have four-wheel drive currently, and some of the roads are too narrow. There's no real place to park the truck and start hiking. I did find several, but I would have to leave the truck in the middle of the road and start hiking. And if anybody else wanted to use that road, you'd have me, some guy just blocking the entire road with his truck. So trying to work out a few things to get up higher. We'll see how it goes. Also, one of the reasons you haven't seen the second bug out video is I got home after that 4 or 5 day trip, whatever it was, went out to my truck to grab my camera, and broke or dislocated or cracked my pinky toe on one of our landscaping volcanic rocks. I don't know. I didn't go to get it x-rayed. It was difficult to diagnose broken toes. If any of you have had them before, there's not much they can do for you anyway. The difficulty comes in, it turns completely black purple, swells up to the point where you can't move the digit anyway. So it's hard to tell if you can't move it because it's broken, or you can't move it because it's swollen so much. So that's this is the first week I've worn boots. just letting that heal. And the swelling's down. It's still in a lot of pain, but at least I can move it, so I don't think it got broken, possibly just dislocated. But that's one reason you haven't seen too many outside videos, is simply because of that. So I got next week coming up, this last week, for the zombie contest, so I'll probably try to get a quick little vid in of more of a bare bones basic. I mean, it probably won't be the Altoid tin and some chewing gum, but it won't be my 80-pound pack. So I thank you all for watching. You guys have a wonderful day.